Hello everyone. With the binary of LichtFeld Studio just released last week, there have been a number of questions coming up in the LichtFeld Studio Discord channels. And one of the most asked questions is, how can I use masks with LichtFeld Studio? In this video, we will explain how masks can be used, what conventions need to be taken into account, and we will have a look on how we can generate those masks in RealityScan and use them in LichtFeld Studio afterwards. Before we dive in, let's have a look on what masks are. Why masks? There are two main purposes for using masks. First is to create a model of an isolated subject, like single objects. And another reason is to remove unwanted objects in the pictures used for training, like people, cars, and moving objects. Masks are usually black and white images, and the white area is the area we want to keep, and the black area is the area we want to exclude. So if you have a look at the two pictures on screen, if you overlay the mask on the picture, you get something like this, and only the area in red will be taken into account during training. In LichtFeld Studio, there are three modes. There is segment. Segment can be used if you want to remove the background and only keep the main subject. And it applies a fall-off or a gradient between the black and white area for a smooth transition of the mask to apply. Ignore mode is when you want to remove moving objects and only keep the environment. Think of people, or mask yourself out if you use a 360 camera. And alpha consistent is the same as segment, but without the fall-off. In LichtFeld Studio, masks are auto-detected based on some conventions. The conventions used are the file name must be in a specific way, and the directory structure must be in a specific way. The masks must be black and white, so no transparent images. And masks must be the same size as the original image. For the file name conventions, there are three options: exact, file name but with a different extension, or the file name and the extension plus an added extension. You can see the supported extensions on the screen. So for an example, if your original image is called frame_001.jpg, the exact name would be the same name. With a different extension, it could be .png or .mask.png. And for a file name plus extension and another added extension, it would be frame_001.jpg.png, etc. Also, the directory structure has some conventions. There are three possible locations to put your masks, but they are always related to the base directory you are importing into LichtFeld Studio. The names are masks, mask, or segmentation. Here is an example. In the base directory, we have three folders: images, masks, and sparse. Images would contain your original images, masks your mask images, and sparse the call map data. Another example is a kind of a flat structure where the call map data and the images are in the same base directory, and the masks are again inside a directory of the base directory. A bad example, just to make sure everybody understands: if the base directory contains two directories, images and sparse, and the masks are inside the images directory, this would not be supported because the masks have to be in the base directory. Now that we understand these concepts, let's apply these in LichtFeld Studio. So here we are in RealityScan, and we have a folder which is called Source Images. And in this folder, we have images frame 003, etc., etc. Now pay close attention to the extension. It's called JPEG, but with an additional E. You're gonna have to remember this for later. We're gonna import these images into Reality Scan. We're gonna start an alignment based on these images. This should go fairly quick, and while we wait, we're gonna create a directory structure which will allow us to import the data into LichtFeld Studio. So I'll create a new folder, LichtFeld Studio, and I'm gonna create 2 directories, images and sparse. And while we'll add it, why not already the masks folder. Remember, the masks folder has to be in the root directory. Root directory is for us LichtFeld Studio folder. In the meantime, the reconstruction has been completed, and we can export this data. So we go to Workflow, Export, and we select CoolMap text format. So as a target directory, we're gonna select the sparse directory, call this statue. Now what's important is that export location will be set because of the directory that we selected, but we really have to make sure that we select the correct image folder, which is the images folder in our case. And important, the extension must be the same extension as your original images. So in this case, we select JPEG. We press OK, and the export will be completed. So if we look into the directory structure now, there will be images. These are the undistorted images. There will be CoolMap data, but nothing in the masks yet. We're gonna save our project just to make sure. Statue. Now we're gonna generate the masks, but before we can do so, we have to create a mesh out of the area that we want to create masks for. So I press 2 on my keyboard to view the top view, and I only want to create a mesh from the statue. So I move the reconstruction region around the statue. Pressed 4 on my keyboard so I can have a side view. Now I can adjust the height and press 0 again to go back to the 3D view. Now I'm gonna create the preview mesh of the area that is selected here. Now that we have this mesh, we can use Reality Scan to create a mask for the source images. So we go to Workflow, we select, I'm going to save first. Save. Yes, now export. Now we select PNG and EXR. If you can't find it, you can go to the filter and select PNG. The directory is going to be our masks directory. You're gonna have to use the same settings as the undistortion settings of the export to CoolMap, and by default they will be there. And we have to make sure that we select export original file name. And that's it. We don't want to export depths. By default, this is on. I changed it to no. And then we can export these masks. That is done. And we can close Reality Scan and we can open up LichtFeld Studio. So in LichtFeld Studio, we are going to drop the base folder, which is LFS. We drag it into the program and we press load. This will load all the images, the point cloud data, and the masks. Point cloud data is including the whole scene. We can verify if the masks are actually present in LichtFeld Studio in a couple of ways. First, if you go to the training tab, the mask mode should be able to select, like segment, ignore, and alpha consistent. For this specific subject, I'm gonna choose segment. I'm gonna leave the default settings for the mask settings. Another way to verify if your masks are there is to go to the cameras, training, and then this red icon will show whether or not masks have been used. If the icon is not there, no masks will be used. If the icon is there, then masks are loaded. We can also double click on this, and then the original image will show. And if you press M on your keyboard, it will show the mask that will be overlaid during training. You can use your arrow keys to go through the images. Just want to go to the original masks images as well. LFS and masks, and these are the black and white images. So now that we know that LichtFeld Studio has the masks and we have set the mask mode to segment, we can start the training. And as training progresses, I'm gonna let it sit a bit. You will notice that the masks will be applied and only the area in white will be used for training. I'm gonna pause the video and let this slowly progress. Okay, the training has been completed. As you can see, the masks have been applied nicely. The background has been removed and only the statue remains. And we can see that we basically have no floaters around the statue. That was it for this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you think about it, or if you have any suggestions of any future videos on LichtFeld Studio. Thank you and see you next time.